Welcome to Just Minded My Business Media LLC, where you get information that you can use. I'm your host, Ida Crawford. But before we dive in, subscribe to Just Minded My Business on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. Share Just Minded My Business with your family, friends, and colleagues. Engage with us by leaving a review or comment. Your support keeps this podcast going and growing. Visit our website at jmmbmediallc.com to learn how we can support you in getting more visibility on your products and services. So grab a pen and paper and get ready for information that you can use. Welcome to Just Minded My Business Media, where you get information that you can use. I'm your host, Ida Crawford. Well, today I am happy to bring to the stage Cary Prejean. Did I say it right?
Close enough.
All right. And Cary is the president, CEO, and founder of CFO Consulting LLC. And he brings over 35 years of expertise to growing businesses. He champions streamlined business practices, simplifying financial insights to just 1 hour weekly for owners. With a degree in accounting and a CPA license, Cary provides real-time cash management dashboards and detailed monthly reports, fostering system-oriented operations. A strategic visionary and a long-term planning, he's guided countless businesses and extensively educated on personal growth, effectiveness, leadership, and team dynamics. Well, welcome, Cary. Glad to have you.
Yes, ma'am. Thanks for having me on your show. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. You've got to be a anointed person to get into accounting because that is one of those subjects that's super tough.
Well, it's not for everybody. It's a lot of conceptual ideas. It's not like engineering where it's hard and fast facts. But I don't know. I enjoyed it.
Okay.
I'm an accounting nerd.
Yes, indeed. So, what inspired you to start your company?
Well, yeah, early on in my career, I worked for a couple of big Fortune 500 companies. I worked for one of the big 8 accounting firms as a tax accountant. And I was hired away from Arthur Andersen by a client. And what I got real clear about fairly quickly was this: the business owner did not know how to read his financial statements. In fact, he was like 3 months behind his financial statements. And every business owner that I work with since then, for the most part, does not know how to read their financial statements. So they were dangerous to their firm, their company, because it's kind of like you're flying blind. You're flying with, half your vision cut off. If you don't really know what's going on with your business, you don't know how liquid it is, you don't know if it's financially strong or not, you don't know how profitable you are, you don't know how efficient your business is. All business owners want to do is sell more. But that's not always the answer. Usually there's more profit in tightening up expenses, maybe raising prices a little bit, reducing your cost of goods sold, as well as your balance sheet ratios in terms of liquidity and financial strength that will help improve your company, make you more profitable, improve your cash flow, rather than just more sales. I'm not saying more sales is bad. I'm saying it's the go-to for most business owners, and it's not the only go-to. There's usually much more money available in managing your business well.
Yes. So, how do you help business owners? What do you do? Because you just on something very important, not being able to read the financial.
Right. Well, that's just one thing. One of the things I insist that they do is that they manage by the numbers. Everybody talks about manage by the numbers, but most people have no idea what it really means. And by manage the numbers, I make sure that they get a set of weekly dashboards that tell them what's your cash flow look like for the next 6 to 10 weeks. What do your receivables and your payables look like? What do your sales month to date, quarter to date, year to date look like compared to budget? Are your taxes being filed and paid? What's your inventory look like? If you're a construction company, what is your where are you in terms of work in process? Are you underbilling or overbilling? Are you on budget for your jobs? And again, manufacturers, it depends on the business. Everybody has their own KPIs. So you make sure they're getting weekly dashboards that show them what the KPIs are saying about their business. And like a dashboard on a car, you don't really pay attention to the dashboard when you're driving unless a red light goes off, right? Or a little engine light comes on. It's there to tell you something's not working well. Same thing with the dashboards business owners get every week. Everything should be going fine. And again, part of it is you want to have the business owner be the leader of the company, but not the manager of the company. There's a big distinction there because most business owners, most entrepreneurs make bad managers because the skill set they have as entrepreneurs is diametrically opposed to what it takes to be a good manager. Most entrepreneurs go crazy if you tell them you're going to have to do this over and over again all day, every day. I had a client recently. I was in South Florida a couple of weeks ago, and I was describing what a good manager does to this entrepreneur owner. He said, "If I had to do that, I'd kill myself." I know you would. That's why you shouldn't be a manager. You need a leadership team to manage the day-to-day, let you go be the visionary and the main revenue generator, because that's your primary two things. That's why you started the business, because you had the vision and you knew how to generate the revenue. You need to have, once your business gets big enough, you need to have a management team, and maybe it's only one or two people that can actually manage the day-to-day and produce consistent results over and over and over again, and they're not going to get bored. Because that's what they want, certainty. The entrepreneurs all over the place. So managing by the numbers is like you can see that the business is operating okay. And if there is a problem, somebody on your leadership team should already be on top of it, know what the problem is, and have a proposed resolution to it, and where the business owner doesn't have to get involved in it. The other thing with actionable financial data is a monthly review of their financial statements to show them what the balance sheet is saying about their business, what the income statement is saying about the business in terms of profitability and efficiency. And to show them like, okay, so it's saying this about your business. Is that okay with you? Are you satisfied? Or you want to improve on that? This is the industry norm. You're either ahead of it or behind it. From there, it's a matter of eliminating dysfunction. All businesses, most small businesses have bottlenecks. They have problems where things just don't go right. They have a meeting and the owner comes in and says, "Here's the problem. This is what we're going to do about it." 6 months later, they're back having another meeting about the same thing that didn't get resolved. And generally, the bottleneck is the owner. And that's hard for some owners to admit, like, I'm the problem, because from their perspective, it's, I started the business, I own the business, I should be able to manage the business the best. And that doesn't always equate. In fact, that usually doesn't equate because, again, the skills to manage a business, to produce consistent results over and over again, they're not geared for that. They're geared for, what else can we do? How else can we make profits? Who can I talk to about selling something today? If I've seen business owners mess up a very effective process just because it looked boring to them. Well, it looked boring. Why'd you do that? Hey, it looked boring. I was bored looking at it. And then you create all this havoc and chaos in your company. And so how do we eliminate dysfunction? You get the leadership team to identify where the bottlenecks are, get the business owner out of the process, and then work with the employees involved to come up with like a recipe, do this, do that. And that's how we're going to handle whatever this process is, whether it's accounting or receivables or sales or manufacturing or shipping. This is how we're going to, and make sure everybody knows what's going on. A good example, you can take a handful of teenagers and run a fast food restaurant. How is that? Most teenagers they barely know their name. But if you have processes, they all have written processes. This is how we make the fries. This is how we make the Royale with cheese. This is how we do the apple pies. Everybody knows how to do it. It's real clear. They get trained on it, and they can run a fast food restaurant. A better example is a deck of an aircraft carrier. You have 18 to 20-year-olds manning the flight decks, and they're brazing planes up and down. They're launching with superheated steam. They're retrieving them with the cables. It's very precise. It's very coordinated. And again, you have 18 to 20-year-olds for the most part on these flight decks running these operations. How is that? Have you seen most 18 to 20-year-olds these days? They're on their phone, they're playing a game, or they're out to lunch for the most part, in my opinion. So what does they do for these aircraft carrier crews? Well, they train them. They drill. They know what their job is, and what everybody else's job is, and know when it's done, how it's done, and it comes off with precision. So same thing in your business. I'm not saying you need to drill your people, but you need to have a consistent, well detailed like in a recipe style, not some big narrative that somebody's going to fall asleep trying to read. But this is how, we do step one, step two, step three, step four. That's how we do it here. Everybody knows about it. Everybody knows their part in it. Everybody knows everybody else's part in it, and they coordinate well. And you get the owner out of the way, because what the owner is committed to is not so much that the job get done, but that my way be done. And again, so why are they so committed to my way? Well, they started the business. It's kind of like their baby, right? And it's a big part of their identity. It's their lifestyle. It's the way they're probably going to retire. It's all of them. So they have this baby. It's very hard for them to turn that baby over to somebody else and trust that they're going to take care of it the same way they would. And the only thing the business owner knows is that, they've been there since day one. Well, this is how I did receivables, or this is how I did sales invoices. This is how I did purchasing. And they don't know any other way because they haven't been trained all that. That's not their job. So when somebody else comes on, they want to know, I want it done this way. I want it done this way. And the message that goes out to the employees is that I don't trust you. You're not competent. You can't do it my way. I'm going to always have to step in and do it. So what happens? The employers complain, business owners complain. Why don't my employees get it? Why can't they just step up and finish the job? Because you're always interjecting. That's why. You're telling them you don't trust them. And guess what? They don't trust you either.
Wow. And how do you instill trust?
Well, trust is based on four things. One is caring. Do you care enough about me? Do you care enough about my concerns as you do about your own? Number two, are you sincere? In other words, the words that are coming out of your mouth, do I think they're matching what's going on in your head? Number three, are you competent? Can you actually do what you say you're promising? And then number four, are you reliable? Do you have a history of keeping your promises over time? That's why McDonald's says billion served. They're not telling you it's the best hamburger. They're saying we're very consistent. We deliver these mediocre hamburgers. We've been doing it for decades around the world. So one of the things that you have to do is get the business owner to admit that, yes, I've been the bottleneck. I've been the one that's stepping in. I've been the one causing the chaos. And I'm going to just back up. And I haven't demonstrated that I do care about you, because a lot of times they don't ask, hey, what do you need to do your jobs? Are you missing anything? Do you need any training? How's your family? How's your health? How are your kids doing in school? Like, get to know people. And again, the bigger the company goes, the owner can't know everybody on that level, but they can know their leadership team and foster that kind of relationship from the leadership team to the people that they work with. And really, it becomes a cultural company thing. It becomes a company culture that people get that they are cared about. When if you don't get that I care about you, how willing are you going to be to make an extra effort?
And that's so true. So true.
So there has to be some level of demonstration by the owner and the leadership team that we care about you as employees. And if that means a little better benefits, or we're going to be more flexible on your time, we're not going to have a bunch of rigid rules. I mean, I've seen places, it's like going to jail. The rules, they have so many rules. They have somebody standing at the door for employees that come in, and they're holding up their cell phone to show what time it is, because that's the correct time. You're a minute late, you're 2 minutes late. Are we children? Is this kindergarten? So yeah, you have to demonstrate, number one, that you do care. Ask them about their jobs. Ask them if they need any training. How's everything going? Is anything missing? How are things going at home? All that kind of stuff. But you also have to be sincere in that I am admitting that I'm the problem, and I'm going to get out of the way. I'm going to let y'all develop processes. I'm going to trust you to take care of my baby, right?
Yes.
And again, you also have to give permission to, and if I step in anyway, you have permission to call me on it. Like, hey, you're getting involved again. You said you wouldn't do this. We're going to handle it, but go back to your office and just trust that we're going to take care of this. Otherwise, you're going to ruin any kind of trust you started to build, and your employees are going to go right back to, well, let him finish it, let her finish it. I did my part. I only went to right here, because anything beyond that, you get slapped down for.
Right.
And again, you probably know business owners who some employee comes up with something inventive, creative, gets a job done, and they get slapped down. They get slapped on the hand because they didn't do it the owner's way, right? So my way has to really die. That has to die big time. And if you're the owner and you're out doing visionary and revenue generation, you're leaving the employees alone, you're letting the management team, the leadership team manage the business so it can work for you, Well, now all of a sudden you have how many business owners that complain they have to work too many hours. They work 7 days a week. They're working 80 hours, 100 hours a week. They can't take long vacations. They can't because they're tied to the business because that's the way they set it up unknowingly, but they're the one who created that monster.
Absolutely. So if companies want to work with you, how do they do so?
They can contact me through my website, strategicbusinessadvisors.org. And again, I've changed the company name to that recently, Strategic Business Advisors. That probably the best way you can schedule a meeting there, a free meeting on that website. And you can read a little bit about the well machine process that I use to work with clients. And so you learn a little bit more about me, what I do. And if you want to, you can schedule a free consultation.
Hey, absolutely. So taking your business to the next level, what does that mean in your opinion?
Again, another buzz phrase, catchphrase that business, I want to take my business to the next level. Okay, what is that exactly? For most of them, it's like, well, it's more revenue. No, let me give you something a little bit different. Next level is really about strategic planning, is really about designing your business into the future. Because if you don't design your business into the future, it's going to get designed in the future, but not by you. It's going to get designed by competition and manufacturers, supply, all stuff, government regulations, taxes, competitors, changes in the marketplace, all that's going to change your companies. So it's kind of like you're navigating downstream in a river. And if you're headed downstream, you can go downstream for a while, but eventually, if you're not navigating your craft, you're going to wind up on a sandbank. You're going to get logged against a tree that's in the middle of it. So navigating your business into the future is really strategic planning. Taking it to the next level means the business works for you. You don't necessarily work for it, because you're off doing the visionary and the major revenue generation, and you're letting the business run itself. You're also, as a visionary, here's a really neat part. As visionary, if you spend enough time doing visionary, you're going to see possibilities that you can't see because you're too distracted having things done my way. That makes sense? So when you start thinking, and the metric I always measure is, are you satisfied? Are you satisfied with where your business is now? And are you satisfied with where it's headed? And most business owners go, yes, so. Well, that tells me you're not really satisfied because you don't really know. And by satisfaction, the metric I use is satisfaction is a matter of enough action. So what is the satisfaction in terms of revenue? How much revenue is enough action for you? How much profitability is enough action for you? How much time away from the business can you take is enough action for you? What kind of culture do you want? What kind of employees do you want working there? What markets do you want to be in? What products and services do you want to sell? All that, as much detail as possible. What can you design in the future? But you have to have a real good footing of where you are now, right? You can't navigate. You can get to New York, but not if you don't know where you start from, right? If you think you're in Clarksville, Tennessee, but you're really in Baton Rouge, you're not going to get there very well.
So it's almost like changing the culture to a certain degree.
Yes, for most business owners, for them to take their business to the next level, and I'm not saying manage it to the next level, they need to be the leader that takes the business to the next level. That's very different. So a lot of times it takes that the ego gets killed off to some extent, and that the owner be more, inclusive. In other words, the businesses that you can only grow a business so much if you own everything, you call all the shots, you get all the money, and all your employees hear is about your business, your profits, your money, your wealth, you're this. It's like lifestyles of the rich and shameless. What's in it for me? If there's nothing in it for them, it's gonna be a very transaction relationship. They'll show up for work, they'll do whatever they have to do, and you'll pay them. To quote George Carlin, most people work just hard enough to not get fired and make just enough not to quit. And so when you have nothing but transaction relationships like that with the employees, it's going to take you doing most of the work or doing most of the hard work, making most of the decisions. And if you want to own everything, call all the shots, get all the profits, you can do it by yourself. Now, so the successful businesses are the ones where they're willing to let other people own a piece of the company, get some of the profits, make some of the decisions. They don't have to own it all. They're willing to share and build a team of people who are committed that are going to come into the vision with that kind of, because they have a piece of the action now, right? So now they're motivated. If they don't have a piece of the action, if you're really good, you can build a fairly profitable business and decent sized business. But if you're never willing to share any of the burden and the wealth and the recognition and the decision making, that's definitely not next level. The next level is where you're expanding beyond just you. It becomes something that's bigger than you, and you're not doing all the work. You're not insisting on my way. You have a company that runs itself.
Absolutely. And so inclusion is a critical piece in making
Hmm.
sure everybody feels like they are a part of the solution. So
Right.
tell me about talent optimization and how.
Ah, that's some software that I use called Predictive Index.
Okay.
Again, it's not just that, but it's one of the tools that I use. Let me put it this way. Let's say you do strategic planning and you have a great strategic plan, right? You're going like, 10 years from now, we're going to be 3 times the size of the company. We're going to be in these additional markets. What is going to get you from where you are now to that strategic plan 10 years from now? Can't be just you. It's going to be your people, it's going to be your talent. So if your talent's not optimized, if you have a mediocre pool of talent, what's the likelihood of you achieving your big strategy? Probably not very good. So predictive index, the software helps us to quantify what people are motivated by in terms of how dominant are they, or how more, in other words, are they very independent or they're more team player? There's 4 areas. That's one of them. Second one is, are they very extroverted? Are they very introverted? Are they want steady pace, don't want a whole bunch of changes, or they thrive in chaos? And the last one is, they very precise, do they like a lot of structure and rules, or they pretty much, let me just figure it out. We'll figure it out when we get there. And again, it's a combination of these 4 factors. Like, I'm going to give you an example. Entrepreneurs, very dominant. They're again, the my way thing. They're very dominant about that. They're generally extroverted. They're a people person. A lot of times you meet them within 15 minutes, they seem like your old friend. They don't operate well with steady as she goes. They like change of pace, they like change of scenery, change the gears, throw a bunch of balls in the air and they're happy. They do well in chaos. And when it comes down to precision, most of them are like, don't bother me with the rules. And I've had several clients tell me this. We love the results we're getting with you, but we hate all the rules. I know you do. You're an entrepreneur. You're not supposed to like the rules. They want to, let me make it up as I go, because that's what they're used to. If you try and give them, this is the structure, these are the rules, like, I'm feeling constricted. I can't operate that way. I need some elbow room. So that's typical entrepreneur. But again, let's say you need somebody on a factory floor that's doing the same thing over and over again. You want to be more of a team player, not so much independent, right? You don't need them to be extroverted. In fact, you kind of want them a little conservative, a little reserved, so they're not sitting there shooting the breeze at everybody all day and interrupting production. You also want them to work at a very steady pace. You don't want somebody who's going to want a lot of chaos and changing gears and changing pace and all that stuff. You also want it to be very precise. You want, if it's on manufacturing, especially like machine shop, or you want them to be very precise in their work, and you want them to want rules and structure, right? So it's not that any one type or any of these things is bad or good. It's depending on the job, who's going to fit the role best. And so you can use the software to say, okay, this is the job. How do you want to do? So here's the profile of the person we want in that job. And then you have the person, it's like a 5-minute test, 6-minute test. And it basically gives you some fantastic analysis of what motivates that person in those 4 areas. And then it gives you a big narrative of how they're going to work best, how they're going to show up best, what are their real strengths, and some cautions of taking to excess, especially their strong points, taking to excess, these are potential conflicts. You can actually use the software to compare, compared to other people they'll be working with. If they're taking this, you can match profiles, and it'll tell you where they'll get along, where the potential pitfalls are, how to best work together. It's a good tool. Now the owner can see, oh, okay, this makes sense. Now I can see why they're kind of a prickly pear at times, or, oh, that's why they're always talking to everybody at the water cooler, because they're so extroverted. That's why it's hard to get them to listen, because they're so dominant, they're so independent, they're going to do it their way no matter what you tell them. Anyway, so and you can use the software to put everybody on a team in and show how well the team, show what kind of team they actually are, as well as given the given the objectives of the team, where they might have to stretch a little bit, or maybe bring in some different talent, maybe somebody in the company, or maybe hire outside.
This sounds like a really smart tool that you're
It
working
is.
with. So, what other things does your tool support the business owner with?
Well, outside of a lot of the analysis and the dashboards and everything else, getting the processes done. Uh, Part of my training is that I'm a certified ontological coach, which probably doesn't mean much. Most people never heard of it, but basically, it's a discipline called the ontology of language. It was developed by a gentleman by the name of Fernando Flores from Chile, and it has some claims. Number one, it says that we're not just biological beings, that human being, what makes us human is that we have a linguistic structure, right? And the way you can tell you have a linguistic structure is as all this input is coming into you, your brain is telling you, it's giving you a story about it. Good, bad, right, wrong, makes sense, doesn't make sense, like it, don't like it, a whole bunch of prejudiced opinions. We all have them. We all have all these opinions already. And again, it's and the good thing is you don't have to make up your mind. You don't have to make a hard decision every time of, do you like this food or do you like that food? You already know what you like. If you what clothes to wear, or whatever, all the different choices we make in a day. If you had to stop and think about it like it was the first time making that decision, you'd be exhausted before 10. So they kind of help you be on automatic. At the same time, they blind you, because whatever your narrative is, it's going to have you see certain things, and it's going to have you miss a whole bunch. So the thing to do is to be able to check into your narrative, and especially these business owners that I'm working with that are so insistent on my way, is to get them to see that, oh, it's just a narrative I have, that I don't trust people because it's my business, and I really need to learn how to trust. In other words, you help them change their narrative so that they can be different people. It sounds, I don't know how it sounds. So some people it sounds really good for that. That doesn't make sense. Well, probably not, but here, let me work with you a little bit and maybe you'll see something. So
Yes, and that's probably the biggest hurdle that you have trying to get people to change into something different.
right, because your narrative is going to tell you, no, they know what they're talking about. This is the way, because your narrative has been there a while. Those assessments have been there a while. And for the most part, a lot of our really strongly held assessments, we don't even see them as assessments anymore. We see them as the truth, right? And we've got about this much range of light, sound, whatever that we can experience as human beings. So, I've heard scientists say if you could see every light beam or ray of energy that hits the earth, it'd be like noon all day long, 24 hours a day, right? But we have this limited range of light rays that we can see, limited range of colors, limited range of taste, smell, hearing. So we get this much of really what's going out there. And because the narratives have been there so long, and we know that this is the way the world is, we think we're seeing reality. That's a mistake. We think the way we see in the world, everybody else sees, and they don't. That's why you can have several people on a roller coaster. Some people love it, some people hate it, some people are kind of in the middle. Or you have witnesses to accidents or events, and witnesses they'll have different stories, because out of their narrative, they're going to see certain things and not see others. So when you get to work with business owners, especially their leadership team, you can help them to see what narrative they're living out of and what blindness is, what things they're blind to. And when they can start to see, oh, that's been there all along. Yeah, this is not new. This has been there all along. Just your narrative had you not be able to see it is all.
Wow.
And so when they start having those kind of aha moments, it's easier for them to see, oh yeah, I really don't see the world and without any kind of judgment. Everything I see is with judgment. Everything
Wow.
I see is attached to this big story of assessments and narratives and stuff.
Yes, Cary. So how, if people want to work with you again, how do companies connect with you?
Again, the best way would probably be my website, strategicbusinessadvisors.org, not .com, .org. There's you can read more about the well-oiled process. You can read more about me and my background. There's some interviews, podcasts. There's a few articles I've written. And there's a place where you can schedule a free consultation with me.
Wow. So this has been an amazing conversation. a different approach, to say the least, working with, owners to let go, so to speak, and
Yeah.
let the process take place.
Right. Well, again, what is the highest and best use? What's the most valuable contribution the owner can make to the business? Be the visionary, be the main revenue generator. That's it. You weren't trained to be an accountant. You weren't trained to be an engineer. I mean,
Right.
there are certain exceptions. You weren't trained to be whatever, logistics person, a purchasing agent. You weren't trained for any of that. So why are you insisting that your way be and all that stuff? It's usually your way is one of the least efficient, least effective ways to do things. Hire people that know what they're doing and let them do it. Now,
Absolutely.
again, you have to be clear about these results I want produced within this time frame and within this, if necessary, within these budgetary constraints. But once you can say these are the results I'm expecting, not do it this way, and then all the people are responsible. They're responsible for producing those results. And if they can do that in the time that they're supposed to do it, you have no complaints. Now, if your conditions of satisfaction change, let them know, but don't. And I've seen some owners do this. It's like somebody will do something and they'll look like, what are you, stupid? What are you doing? Well, I'm doing X, Y, Z. Well, that's not the way you do it. Well, because it's not the owner's way. It's like,
Right.
well, that's the way that's the way I do it. Well, no, this is the way you do it. And that just kills morale. I mean, does that employee really want to be loyal to you? Going to step
Right.
up, going to do the extra effort, stay extra time, or they're going to be looking for another job?
Absolutely. And it's like the old saying go, it's more than one way to skin a cat. You know what I'm saying? Your way is not necessarily the only way.
Your
Wow.
way your way, the business owner's way is usually one of the worst ways to do it.
This is wow, Carrie. Thank you so much for this amazing conversation. And you dropped quite a few good nuggets that I hope everybody picked up. Um, we definitely want you to come back and talk about this some more because I think people need to really hear this more and more because you know how we go. We got here.
I'd love to, Ida. I'd appreciate that.
Yeah. So thank you. And thank you, audience, for stopping by. We truly appreciate you. Thank you to our guests and you, our valued audience, for stopping by. We truly appreciate you. Many blessings to you and yours.